So we are just finishing up, having driven, well, straight from the M4. I was doing some tests and setup laps for that car to right into the M2, so it was literally, couldn't have been a better back-to-back test. So yeah, thoughts on, first of all, the two cars. It's been a long while since I've driven the M4. The last time I drove it was at the British GT Media Day with Century. And yeah, compared to the M6, it feels like a big bus. Quite a bit heavier, quite a bit lazier. And yeah, where with the M6 you can get away with a lot of combined loading. So accelerating and turning over bumps and things like that with the aero, the lower weight and the aero as well. Sorry, the better dampers, etc. The M4 you really couldn't get away with. There was a lot more bouncing, it would slide a lot more, so you have to manage that accordingly as a result of it. So yeah, did some reference laps from that, then jumped literally straight into the M2. And yeah, first impressions were, it's definitely not an M240, where the M240 was very lazy. It really felt like a road car converted. So as a result, the steering in particular, you didn't feel like you get a huge amount of feedback. A lot would happen before you actually felt feedback in the car. And the brakes were questionable, as proven by one of my previous videos. It was a remapped ABS pedal and system, but I felt it intruded quite quickly. The big brakes on the M2, so it's got standard M2 CS brakes on the rear and some big Alcon brakes on the front. It gives you another level of braking, so it's much more relatable to a race brake pedal, a proper pedal box. So it's got the brake booster on the system, so it helps the brake pressure for anyone to jump in and drive, similar to a road car. But it doesn't feel like you're just pushing into a balloon or something like that with very little feedback. It does feel quite relatable, and there's quite a big amount of stopping power in the brakes as well. And also the weight of the M2 is heavier than the M4 and obviously heavier than the M6 as well. But you really don't feel it that much. It feels very nimble on its feet, especially in the change of directions around the Bilsterberg circuit. You could really chuck it around and not feel it massively. I feel like the front end's a little bit soft, so the front end does fall over itself a lot. We did a lot of stiffening up to try and cure that with the anti-roll bars, etc. But it kind of feels like a bit of an inherent thing in the car. But for an entry-level car, that's kind of what it's supposed to be. So yeah, overall a very fun car, and yeah, a car I got to grips with very, very quickly. Felt I could chuck around. Always had. There wasn't any time like with the M4. It feels quite heavy. There's quite a lot of power. It felt like I could lose the rear at some points, but. Yeah, with the M2 in cup spec, so this is the same spec that will be running in the Permit B class in VLN. You could just keep your foot absolutely planted over the bumps, over the jumps combined, and there's loads and loads of grip. So yeah, very positive first start, very enjoyable, and I feel it's an ideal sort of beginner's car to jump in and learn motorsport with, basically. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the M2 so far. Hopefully do some laps a little bit later on, and we'll definitely get into a comparison onboard to onboard now. So overall, it's been a really awesome couple of days to try out the M2 CS here at Bilsterberg with Walkenhorst Motorsport. Yeah, those are my thoughts on the car in itself. Please let me know if you have any more questions about the car, something I may have missed, and I'll try and mention them in the comments below. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video and all this BMW content that I'm putting out, make sure you subscribe to my channel and tune in for more videos to come. Ciao, ciao.